Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the British Council's Spain Teaching for Success Conference. This is our second year of offering our conference online. We've been doing it now for 18 years. And the last 2 years, because of the current circumstances, we've been offering it online. So we're able to reach not just our colleagues and everyone in Spain, but also a bit further afield. My name's Alison Smith, and I'm the Continuous Professional Development Manager for the British Council in Spain. And I'm joined this morning, with Mark Howard, our Country Director. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, everybody. Welcome.
What we're doing is we're going to start the conference slightly different this year. We're going to have a conversation between Mark and myself about the conference, which is this year together, quality, ecology, and teamwork. So, Mark, just to start things off, what were your initial thoughts when you saw the name or the title of the conference?
Yeah, hi, Ellen. I'm having a few connection problems, so if I freeze, I hope I freeze with my face in a good position. So but please let me know on that one. There's nothing worse than being stuck there with your mouth open. So anyway, let's hope that carries on okay. Yeah, no, really interesting, Ali, when I saw it. I mean, to use a Spanish analogy, because we're here in Spain, it was a bit like looking at a tapas menu. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, there's lots of variety there. There's lots of different things there. They're all really interesting, and I was thinking, well, what kind of joins them? But actually, it's that first word, isn't it? Excuse me, it's together, you know. And I thought, you know, things like equality, that's kind of about inclusion, I suppose, and how do we ensure that, you know, we're not leaving anybody out? And I think that's a really important part of the work we do as educators. Ecology, we're all on the same planet, we're all in that together. And teamwork, by definition, is about togetherness, isn't it? So, to be honest, my first impression was, wow, they're all quite different. And then actually, when I reflected on it, I thought, well, actually, the thread that goes through those, which is very cleverly put at the beginning, you know, the thread that goes through those is kind of being in this together, isn't it? And I think that's something that we've certainly felt over the last 18 months, and we can discuss that a little bit, but I like it because, again, I'd rather have tapas than have just one dish, if you like. Yeah. So you know, for those of us in Spain, it's really nice to try a little bit of variety, isn't it? So yeah, for me, it was the first thought that came into my mind. Maybe because I'm focused on food, Ali, but the first thing that came into mind was this was like going into a tapas restaurant rather than going into something that was fixed on one area, and I really liked that. I thought it was a really good idea to give people a chance to kind of reflect on different aspects potentially of what it is being a teacher and what it is teaching English.
Yeah, we like the conference team and I, when we were thinking about the theme for the conference, we were, you know, identifying things that are very important, you know, sort of now. And it was quite difficult to, you know, really focus it down to one thing. So as you're saying, you know, in equality, ecology, and, you know, teamwork, we wanted to pull it all together. So yeah, together really was the sort of
I mean, you know, again, reflecting back on teaching, we talk a lot about eclectic, don't we? You know, and I think, you know, an eclectic approach to a class, you know, if you go too far, it feels a bit of a mess, doesn't it? You know, whereas actually, if you use an eclectic approach to teaching, so that you're using a variety of approaches, you're using appropriate things. You know, I think as teachers, we're quite good at that, especially language teachers, rather than kind of sticking to. And I think that flexibility in the classroom. So it's great. I think in a way, you know, again, reflecting on it, having seen it, it's interesting. You don't want to limit yourself too much, is it? And I think that's very true in a language class.
Yeah, I think it was the other thing that we were trying to bring to the conference this year was the idea that, you know, we are English language teachers, but then we're not just that, you know, it's not our responsibility, but we have an opportunity to use our time with our students and in the classroom to help instill values and help teach language other areas. So that was our sort of thinking from, at the beginning.
I think that's a good one for us at the British Council as well, Ali, because when you look at, our mission as the British Council, it's about building trust, and there's values in that, isn't it? So for us, it's through the work that we do, whether it's teaching language, whether it's education, whether it's culture, it's about trying to build connections, understanding and trust. And I think, teaching the English language is a wonderful way to do that. I mean, by definition, language allows you to connect with people. I mean, and English is a language that will allow you to connect across countries. It's a lingua franca, and I think that idea of language being a connector is really, really important too. But then understanding and trust, that there are value driven things behind that, isn't it? I think we want people to have that language, to be using it in a positive way, isn't it? I mean, that's something, when you look nowadays, and I don't think that's being idealistic. It's trying to say, well, a language is a means to understand each other better. I mean, we may disagree, and we can see that around the world. In the British Council, we work in 120 countries across the world. Now, many of those countries are different, of course, and that's wonderful. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of different ways of looking at the world. But, understanding where somebody comes from and that interchange through language, in this case, possibly English, is a first step, isn't it? I might disagree with you, but that idea of trying to have a shared language or have an opportunity where we can actually... So, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, our job isn't there necessarily, primarily people want to learn English, but I think it's important that we use that opportunity in much more of getting people to engage in areas, isn't it? Because, content.
Exactly, absolutely. And as you say, it's that kind of, the connecting cultures, essentially, which that's actually a project we've been doing, giving students, the opportunity to work with other students in other countries. And it's like, as you say, giving them the language to do that, but then giving them the skills of how to ask questions and how to speak to other people in other countries is, they are lifelong skills.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
sorry, Ali. So I've got a gap on that, but we've got a little bit of a gap there. But yeah, you mentioned connecting cultures, which at the British Council we've done over the last year, and that's where we can get students from Spain talking to students from Romania or Italy or other countries. And I think we talk a lot in language teaching about an information gap, isn't it? And sometimes we have to kind of artificially make an information gap. Here's your information, here's mine, ask me questions, and as language teachers, sometimes we try and create a situation where people can do that. Whereas if you are talking to somebody in Bucharest and you're in Barcelona, there's a natural information gap there, isn't it? I don't know, I've never been to Bucharest, I have, but the student's never been to Bucharest, so I'm going to ask you questions about your life in Bucharest. And I remember we did one with young people in Palestine, and that was really interesting, seeing that shared, that's a difficult context, and some of our students understanding how young people actually still, despite all those difficult circumstances, have similar concerns about the world. And that's possibly where the ecology one comes in as well, isn't it, Ali? Where climate, the climate crisis in which we are living is an area that lots of young people, particularly, although of course all of us are affected, but young people are quite rightly very, very passionate about that area. And so we're working in areas like that with the COP26, which is coming up in Glasgow soon. So we're trying to do some projects around that. And again, English is sometimes a way we can connect people from different countries.
Yeah, I remember actually there was one group of students who were part of this project of connecting cultures, and I think they were grouped from some students from Poland and some from Spain, and they were talking about climate change, and I was not surprised, but I felt very not happy, but it felt good just to see how passionate they were speaking about it and how motivated. And you just think that, things like this, maybe they're not concerned, but they really, really are. So, I mean, just referring back to the COP26, the British Council have actually created some materials. They're ready to go now, and teachers can use them in their classes, and they're available on the Teaching English website. So for those that are watching, help yourself and use them, and they're a really, really nice way to sort of start introducing it into your classes.
Yeah. No, thanks, Ali. That's a good one. And again, coming back to the together and teamwork. Here we are. You and I talking and sat in different places. I think we've got people from 28 countries. Michael was telling me joining us now. Pre-pandemic, although we could have done it, I'm not sure we would have done it. So it's interesting reflecting, isn't it, on togetherness and teamwork. Although this pandemic has been very, very hard, and it's impacted in different ways across the globe. That's another thing. Actually, we're all in that. It's a global pandemic. Actually, I mean, it is a sense of we are. There's a shared challenge. But the way that teachers and educators have responded to that has been extraordinary. I think here in Spain, schools have been back most of last academic year, very restricted, but they were back. And I think there's been a lot of talk about frontline workers, quite rightly, in the health service or supermarkets or people cleaning the streets being frontline workers. But I think teachers have been really at the front line of this as well. I mean, they've gone in, they've carried on, they've given young people an education. And I think so that togetherness as well, and that teamwork, which we've seen over the last 12 months in public education systems, in language institutes, in many different places. And I know it varies from country to country because that's the way that this situation is. But another one for me, Ali, is it's been really tough. But I think as educators, we've learned a lot. And the key for me now is how do we get the benefits from some of the things we've learned, really? I don't know how you feel, what you found with your teacher training and some of the teaching that's been going on.
Well, it was that. I mean, sort of initially, the having to adapt and think about different ways of teaching. I was just so blown away with not just teachers in the British Council, but teachers how they adapted to a new way of teaching. And even then, when people return to schools, you're dealing with young children. There was a lot of anxiety, there was a lot of nervousness, and probably we all were dealing with the same sort of thing, but how positive and how well everyone did throughout the whole time. It was just amazing. So it's brilliant. Well done to everyone, really.
Absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to, when we did, as I mentioned before, we've been doing this conference now for 18 years. So when we did do it face-to-face, there was teachers who'd been coming every year to the one in Madrid and to the one in Bilbao, and it would be the same people. And everyone really enjoyed the conference last year, and there were some brilliant, brilliant talks. But one of the things that a lot of the teachers did miss was that opportunity to together, teamwork, to work with other colleagues, to meet old faces, to discuss ideas. So one of the things we've tried to do this year with the online conference is bring a little of that back into this conference. So we've created the virtual coffee room, and during that time, the teachers who are at the conference today have an opportunity to go into, say, for example, if you're a primary teacher, you can go into the primary room, speak to other teachers about things that are of interest. We also have some publishers who are collaborating with us today, and teachers can go in and speak to people from the publishers and ask them questions about material. So we're trying, please come, if you are at the conference today, please come along to the virtual and the interactive coffee room break. And you'll find the links. The links are on the website, on the main website, and we'll be sharing those links in the talks as well. So yes, so we want to get that familiar, chatty moment back into the conferences, even though it's online.
Sure. No, I think again, it's that hybrid. That word has been very overused in the last 12 months, isn't it? Hybrid, but it's it's trying to find, trying to hang on to some of those connections that we have in a virtual world against a presential sort of world, isn't it? And just try and sort of bring the best of both in, and just to finish, really, I suppose that adaptation and flexibility that people have shown. Yeah, I mean, it's not how we would have chosen to do it. None of us would have wanted to have gone through what the last 12 months has brought us. But we have to take what we can from it, isn't it? And I've been really impressed by the professionalism, as always, and the passion of teachers. I mean, teaching is such a great job. I know it's a tough one, but it's such a great job because you're making a difference every single day in the classroom, and you're seeing the impact you have on your kids. So it's great to have this opportunity as professionals to come together. As the British Council, we're delighted to offer that kind of platform, if you like now. Please, enjoy the day. Ali can tell you a little bit more in a moment about some of the details, I suppose. But really, just from me, a big thank you actually on behalf of whether it's parents or students or us here at the British Council. Extraordinary work that many of you have been doing over this year, and I hope this is a chance. It's always great to get together with other teachers, isn't it? And it's a chance to learn, and it's a chance to share, and it's a chance to feel part of something together. We're talking there, so finishing off with our theme, together we're stronger. So thanks, Ali. Maybe you can finish up with some more practical stuff.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Just to the next sessions now, they're going to start at 10:30. We've got loads of really interesting and motivating talks. So just a reminder that if you've registered for talks, you'll have been sent a separate email for each of them. So you need to go in and click on the link for all the individual talks. And if you haven't yet registered, you've still got time to register for talks later on in the day. And then just a final remember, to join us in the interactive coffee break. And I think I probably am forgetting something, but I think that's everything for the moment. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Hopefully speak to some colleagues and get some great practical ideas for the classroom, because really that's what we want. Brilliant. Great. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.